So, welcome to this episode of the vlog. We are doing a question and answer, so got all the questions from Instagram and Facebook, and we're going to go from there.
Okay mate, you got a question on Facebook from Adam Lemerize. He asked, favourite track to race at besides Bathurst?
I would have to go with Newcastle. I think is probably the best driving track, not necessarily racing track, because it's pretty hard to pass there, but really good fun to drive on. I also like Townsville, always been a big fan of Townsville. Been there a few times now.
Okay mate, so another question on Facebook. It's from Kimberly Ferguson, and she asked, are there any differences between your Super 2 car and the car you share with Nick Burkett?
The differences, so Super 2 normally run hards, and the main series is usually on softs. It's been changing around lately. There's some setup rules that we're not allowed to have in Super 2, like trap springs. The seat is on the floor in Nick's car because he's so tall, and mine is definitely not. Mine's actually as far forward and up as you can go, so that's a big difference. Other than that, like not really. Obviously the body works, the ZB to the VF, but that's just the shell. So other than that, the chassis in itself and components are pretty much the same. Another question here from William Donaldson. Would you consider racing karts full-time again if the opportunity was presented to you? Probably not at this point. I think my commitments for the supercars is pretty heavy, so I would probably not do that right now. I do love go-karting still though. Try and get as much racing in as I can for that, but it's hard to fit it in with the the full-time season with the V8s and then the mechanicking sides of things as well. But I definitely love karting still.
Righto mate, another question from Mick Golan. He asked, do you like stuff?
Do I like stuff? It's a tough one. I do, but I like things more. Yeah, I think things are better. Alright, I am about to go for a bike ride here, but first I will answer another question. So we have Lauren Ferguson 03 on Instagram. She's asked, when racing go-karts, how do you know what to change on the kart? So sort of same as racing in the supercars, I guess. The engineers kind of make the decision on that, but it's all about, I guess, you learn from other tracks what you guys changed, and then you take that on to the next track. You kind of remember what the change does, and if it correlates to something that the go-kart's doing, you might change it for that same sort of condition, or if the go-kart feels pretty similar, then you'll change it for that. Otherwise, it's about trialing different things at different tracks and just learning and taking it on board, and always trying to remember what the change did to take it on further. Also had some people recently asking about like when I'm mountain biking, getting some footage from that. I'm working on getting a GoPro to be able to get some action cam stuff, so working on that. Sorry I haven't been able to bring any at the moment, but working on it.
Okay mate, another one just popped up. So Chad Newlon, how did you break a gear stick with your bare hands?
Oh, that's a good question. Bicep curls daily. Yep. No, I have no idea how that snapped. That was, definitely not gonna say that was my arms.
So CJ Stewart 97 asked, how do you manage a healthy diet while travelling, and do you have a daily routine? Okay, it's a tough one, but I prioritise it pretty heavily, and it's kind of just a part of my routine. It's not an effort for me really. Like, I just pack foods that I can. I'm pretty lucky that I get helped out with Blue Dinosaur, Peak Chocolate as well, so they help me out quite a lot, which makes it a lot easier for me, and I just organise getting good food
at race meetings. Really, it's pretty easy for me now. You going?
Yep.
All right. Jake Cooper with, what was your initial reaction to the double DNF? Oh, I don't want to answer that. My initial reaction was to swear, that's for sure, when I was still in the car. And then once I sort of came into the pits, especially on the Sunday, that was pretty, it's like my heart fell out. I just, you know, like sank a bit. But yeah, I didn't really feel much at the time. It was a pretty big blow, I think, yeah. Amelia Foss says, do you do any sim racing or gaming as practice for an upcoming race? Yeah, well, that's what we're working on at the moment, actually getting a sim going. But we don't really have a great one at the moment, and there's not a whole lot of tracks for Australia. So I did some going into Newcastle last year. That was pretty handy, just to learn a bit of the layout of the track. Other than that, I don't do a whole lot. It doesn't have the same feel as what a race car does, so I struggle to correlate the two, but I do enjoy it.
So one of your fellow Super 2 competitors asked this question. Adam Marjoram asked, what's healthier, fruit flies or normal flies?
G'day Adam, thanks for the question. I'm going to have to say normal flies, less carbs. Yeah.
Okay mate, so another question. Abby Turner asked, how do you prepare your body when you are racing in both the main game and the Super 2?
I eat a lot of food. You just try and like eat easier foods to eat that digest fast, because you're in and out of the car, and hydration is probably the biggest thing. You know, yeah, it's pretty damn hot in the car, so keeping on top of hydration I think is one of the most important parts, and just making sure you're going into the weekend well rested and ready to go.
Okay mate, so a question from Zach Pierce. He asked, what do you think about supercars possibly switching to a summer series in the next few years?
G'day Zach, good question. I think it would be a tough changeover. I think it would be a big year. I'm guessing like it's a hard transition, like do you have the 6-month break and then go into it, or do you go straight into it, or so that's all a little bit confusing for me, but there's definitely pros and cons to it. I think there'd be some good things where you're not really competing with other sports as highly, and I think it would be like a good family thing to do when the kids are in their holidays. But I'm not opposed to the idea. It will be a hot time of year to race in a race car, that's for sure, but maybe some night races in that time would be cool. So we'll see how it pans out.
What are you doing here, Tony?
Just doing some artwork, mate.
Artwork.
Yeah.
Spray painting some shit.
I'm pretty talented in that.
You're actually doing a horrendous job there.
Yeah, like severely terrible.
So what are you doing with the chassis then?
We're going to repurpose this bad boy into what I would say is going to be the maddest race car sim in Australia. So
Without a doubt.
it's going to be an exact copy of a supercar, full 6 degree of freedom motion, so it should be pretty sweet.
Full motion spec, just TV screen's gonna make it look like you're driving a real car. It's gonna be dope. Got safety first here. He's all kinds of special. So Kieran, over here, we got safety first.
Yeah, mate.
I like it.
Always.
Nothing like some flammable prep sol to, you know, block your sparks going.
I got my safety goggles on, so that's all good.
Oh yeah, and they're clean.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed a bit of insight into my mind, into my life a little bit with the question and answers. Thanks for watching. Give it a like and subscribe below. It always helps. So trying to grow the YouTube channel is good fun. I'm really enjoying the video, so hopefully you guys are too.